He gave up everything, the untold story behind why a Canadian MP stepped aside for Poilievre. When Member of Parliament Damien Kurek made the decision to resign his safe Alberta seat of Battle River, Crowfoot, he knew it would come as a shock. Here was a young, dedicated MP, elected by a commanding majority, not only giving up a prestigious role but stepping away from the very community that had placed its trust in him. For many, it was hard to understand why anyone would walk away from one of the most secure seats in the country. But for Kurek, this wasn't about him. It was about something bigger, a belief that leadership sometimes demands personal sacrifice. In his mind, it was the right thing to do, to make way for the leader of the Conservative Party, Pierre Poilievre, to re-enter the House of Commons after suffering a dramatic electoral defeat. The April 28 snap federal election, triggered shortly after Mark Carney was crowned leader of the Liberal Party and sworn in as Prime Minister, had flipped Canadian politics on its head. While Carney managed to secure a minority government, the Conservatives under Poilievre gained ground and enthusiasm across the country, yet Poilievre himself lost his seat in Carleton. It was a stunning personal loss, especially for a party leader many had seen as destined for high office. Without a seat, Poilievre remained the face of the Conservative movement, but now only from the outside, unable to confront the government across the aisle. That's where Kurek stepped in. With a reputation for integrity and quiet strength, he offered to give up his seat so Poilievre could contest the by-election and return to the House, fully empowered. Kurek's decision wasn't made in haste. He had long represented the values of rural Alberta, self-reliance, family, service, and had been re-elected with overwhelming support. He had fought for local farmers, pushed for better rural infrastructure, and stood as a voice against policies that he felt ignored the heartland of Canada. By choosing to step aside, he was potentially ending that work, or at least putting it on hold. It was a deeply personal decision, but it also reflected a profound belief in Poilievre's vision and a desire to see his party succeed on the national stage. Kurek saw the bigger picture. Without Poilievre in Parliament, the Conservative movement would be speaking without its voice. Pierre Poilievre, meanwhile, faced his own reckoning. Losing Carleton, once considered a safe Conservative seat, was a blow not just to his pride but to his political momentum. Still, he remained defiant. He refused to step down as leader, determined to lead the party forward despite the setback. Supporters praised his resilience, but critics inside and outside the party questioned whether he could recover. That's why Kurek's move was so significant. It didn't just give Poilievre a new path, it gave him legitimacy. It signaled that the party was still united behind him and willing to make sacrifices to see his leadership continue. The arrangement between Kurek and Poilievre wasn't made public until the earliest legal date after the election. Kurek announced that he would formally resign on June 17th, triggering a by-election in Battle River, Crowfoot. It was a calculated move. This riding was one of the most conservative in Canada, nearly guaranteed to remain blue. For Poilievre, it was a safe landing spot and an opportunity to get back into the fight quickly. The by-election date was set for August 18th, giving him the summer to reconnect with voters and build momentum for the fall session of Parliament. In the meantime, Andrew Scheer, a seasoned figure in the party, stepped in as interim leader of the opposition. But not everyone was thrilled. Some Conservative voices, including figures from Ontario and Quebec, privately expressed concern. They believed the party needed to broaden its appeal to urban and centrist voters, and worried that Poilievre's aggressive tone during the campaign had alienated moderates. There were murmurs of discontent, whispers that the leadership review coming in early 2026 might see a challenge emerge. But publicly, the party held firm. And Kurek's sacrifice was used as a rallying cry, a gesture that the leader still commanded respect and loyalty among his MPs. Poilievre himself acknowledged the gesture with humility, calling Kurek's action an extraordinary sign of unity and promising to live up to the trust placed in him. The optics of the move were powerful. It suggested that the party wasn't fragmented but focused. That despite losing the top job, Poilievre still held the confidence of his caucus and was willing to confront both his critics and the governing Liberals head-on. For supporters, it was a moment of clarity. The movement had taken a hit, but it wasn't going anywhere. Throughout the summer, Poilievre crisscrossed the region, attending community fairs, coffee shop chats, and local town halls, not just campaigning, but listening. He spoke about inflation, housing, the cost of food, and restoring fairness for working Canadians. He pledged to oppose what he called the corporate political elite and to give voice to Canadians who felt forgotten by the Ottawa bubble. His tone was slightly more measured, but his message was the same: empower Canadians, shrink government, protect freedom. Meanwhile, Damien Kurek returned to private life, but not completely. He made clear that he intended to run again in the next general election. His decision to step aside wasn't a retirement, but a strategic pause. He hoped to one day return to Ottawa, resume the work he began, and represent the people of Battle River, Crowfoot once more. In many ways, his story became one of loyalty with a future, a temporary departure made in service of a long-term vision. For constituents, there was pride in his sacrifice, but also hope that they hadn't seen the last of their local champion. The stakes of the by-election were enormous. If Poilievre won, it would be a symbolic rebirth, a confirmation that his leadership had survived adversity. If he lost again, it could mark the end of his political journey and open the door to a divisive leadership race. That's why this wasn't just about a riding in Alberta, it was about the future of the Conservative movement and whether it could re-establish itself as a government in waiting. The emotional undertone of this entire moment was undeniable. Canadians saw in Kurek's actions something rarely seen in politics: humility and selflessness. They saw an MP willing to give up power so that someone else, someone he believed in, could lead. And they saw a party willing to fight its way back, not through backroom deals or petty infighting, but through courage and conviction. For many voters, that meant something. In a political climate often marked by cynicism, it was refreshing, even inspiring. By the time ballots are cast in August, it won't just be about who wins a seat. It will be about whether the Conservative Party has learned from its past, evolved from its defeat, and re-energized its base without losing touch with the average Canadian. It will also be about whether the country is ready to give Pierre Poilievre a second chance. For now, the sacrifice of Damien Kurek stands as a powerful symbol of belief, not just in a man, but in a movement still fighting to define its place in the future of Canada.